The stars shone bright against the darkness of space as Commander Alexis Reeves sat in the captain's chair of the research vessel Horizon. She brushed a strand of brown hair from her face and studied the data on her screen. This was supposed to be a simple survey mission to the edge of known space. Nothing exciting. Just collect data, map a few star systems, and return home. "Commander, there's something strange on the long-range scanners," said Officer Kimberly Walsh, her eyes wide with surprise. "It just appeared out of nowhere." Alexis stood up and walked to the scanner station. "Show me." The screen displayed a massive object moving toward them. It sparkled like a giant crystal, changing colors as it moved. Purple, blue, and green lights pulsed across its surface in patterns that seemed almost like a heartbeat. "Run all scans." "What are we looking at?" Alexis asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "It's definitely a ship, ma'am, but the energy readings don't match anything in our database. It's huge, at least 3 times the size of our largest battleship." Alexis took a deep breath. First contact. This was what every space explorer both hoped for and feared. Her decision now would affect not just her crew, but potentially all of humanity. Open a communication channel, all frequencies, and alert Earth Command. As the crew rushed to follow her orders, the alien ship slowed its approach. It now hung in space before them, beautiful and terrifying in its strangeness. "No response to our signals, Commander," reported Communications Officer Diane Porter. "But there's something else. Some kind of energy wave coming from the ship. It's not harmful, just strange." That night, after hours of failed communication attempts, Alexis fell into an exhausted sleep in her quarters. That's when the dreams began. She found herself walking through corridors made of the same crystal-like material as the alien ship. The walls hummed with energy and seemed almost alive. At the end of the corridor stood a tall figure, at least 7 feet in height, with skin that shimmered like mother of pearl in sunlight. The being had a feminine shape, with long limbs and a face of striking beauty that was both alien and somehow familiar. "I am Laraxa," the figure said without moving her mouth. The word simply appeared in Alexis's mind. "Queen of the Celestial Dominion." "I'm Commander Alexis Reeves of Earth," she replied, surprised to find she could communicate in the same way. "We come in peace." The alien queen's skin rippled with colors. Blue, purple, then a warm gold. "I know. I have watched your kind for many cycles. You are young but interesting, so full of contradiction, so alive." When Alexis woke, she was covered in sweat, the dream still vivid in her mind. To her shock, she found a small crystal on her bedside table that hadn't been there before. "The Queen wants to meet you in person," said Science Officer Madison Gray after examining the crystal. "According to these readings, this contains instructions for creating a neutral meeting space where both our species can survive." For 3 days they worked to build the meeting chamber according to the crystal's encoded instructions. It connected to an airlock on the Horizon's hull and extended toward the alien vessel, which had moved closer. "Are you sure about this, Commander?" asked Security Chief Lauren Blake as Alexis prepared to enter the chamber. "We don't know anything about them." "Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith," Alexis replied, checking her breathing apparatus one last time. The chamber was filled with a thin mist that sparkled in the light. As Alexis entered from one end, a door opened at the opposite side. Queen Laraxa entered, even more impressive in reality than in the dream. Her head nearly touched the ceiling, and what Alexis had thought was clothing in the dream was actually part of her body. Layers of translucent material that flowed around her like water. "Commander Alexis Reeves," the Queen said, her actual voice musical and layered with tones humans couldn't produce. "I am pleased you accepted my invitation." Alexis bowed slightly. "Thank you for reaching out to us, Your Majesty. We are honored to make contact with your civilization." The Queen moved closer, her movements graceful despite her size. "Your species intrigues me. You are so brief in your existence, yet you accomplish much. My people have lived among the stars for 100,000 of your years, yet we have begun to stagnate. Perhaps we can learn from each other." Alexis suggested. That is my hope. The Queen's skin flashed with bright colors. I propose an exchange of knowledge. A delegation from your ship may visit my vessel, while some of my scholars study your ways. Over the next few weeks, Alexis led a small team aboard the Luminous Ascendancy, the Queen's massive ship. They discovered the Celestials, as they came to call them, were an ancient race who had mastered technologies humans had only dreamed of. They could bend light, create energy from seemingly nothing, and even manipulate time in limited ways. But, for all their advancement, something troubled their society. The Celestials had engineered themselves to near perfection, extending their lives to span thousands of years. But in doing so, they had lost something essential, the drive that comes from knowing life is brief and precious. Alexis spent many hours with Queen Laraxa, explaining human concepts the Queen found fascinating. Family, love, the way humans bonded and created new life together. We no longer reproduce naturally, the Queen explained during one of their talks. We create new celestials in laboratories, designing each for specific purposes. But these younger generations lack spark, innovation, the will to explore and create that once made us great. As the diplomatic mission continued, Alexis and Lyraxa grew closer. They participated in ceremonies and rituals from both cultures, sharing meals, though Celestials absorbed energy rather than eating solid food, exchanging gifts and learning each other's customs. During one such ceremony, they performed the celestial ritual of energy exchange, something the Queen assured her was merely symbolic between different species. Their hands touched through thin ceremonial gloves, and Alexis felt a warm tingle spread up her arm and throughout her body. Neither of them realized that in that moment, something unprecedented had occurred, something that would soon change the fate of both their species forever. The great hall of the Luminous Ascendancy glittered with light that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Alexis stood beside Queen Laraxa as both human and celestial representatives signed the first official treaty between their species. After 2 months of careful diplomacy, they had agreed to share certain technologies and knowledge. This marks the beginning of a new era for both our peoples, Queen Laraxa announced, her skin shimmering with pleased gold and blue tones. Her voice echoed in the vast chamber. Later, as the celebration continued, Alexis noticed the Queen moving. Away from the crowd, she followed, finding Laraxa in a quiet observation room overlooking the stars. "Is everything all right, Your Majesty?" Alexis asked. The Queen's skin had taken on a darker purple shade that Alexis had learned meant worry or concern. "Not all of my people welcome this alliance, Commander. The Celestial High Council is divided. Some believe interaction with younger species will weaken us. We've faced similar resistance from some on Earth," Alexis admitted. "Fear of the unknown is universal, it seems." Laraxa turned to face her. "You and I must work harder then, to show them the benefits of our cooperation." Over the following weeks, the cultural exchange deepened. Humans learned about celestial art forms that used light and energy as mediums. The aliens studied human music and literature with great interest, particularly drawn to stories of family bonds and romantic love. These concepts of family units and pair bonding for life, they were once part of our culture too, Laraxa explained to Alexis during one of their increasingly frequent private meetings. But as our lifespans extended to thousands of years, such connections became impractical. "That sounds lonely," Alexis said, then quickly added, "I'm sorry if that's disrespectful." "No, you are correct." The Queen's skin rippled with a blue that suggested sadness. "We have gained much, but lost much too. I sometimes wonder if our pursuit of perfection has cost us our soul." As their diplomatic work continued, rumors began to spread among both species. Some Celestials whispered that their Queen was becoming too enamored with human ways. Among the human delegation, there was talk about how much time Commander Reeves spent alone with Lyraxa. "The crew is starting to talk," Officer Lauren warned Alexis during a private moment on the horizon. "They say you've gone native." Alexis frowned. "I'm doing my job, building a relationship with their leader." Just be careful, Lauren said. We don't fully understand their biology, their culture, or their true intentions yet. Meanwhile, on her own ship, Queen Laraxa faced more direct challenges. Elder Zyvex, leader of the traditionalist faction on the Celestial High Council, had arrived unannounced. Your fascination with these humans goes beyond diplomatic necessity, he accused during a council meeting. His skin was a harsh red of disapproval. You participate in their primitive rituals and adopt their emotional expressions. This is unseemly for our ruler. I study them closely because they have something we have lost, Laraxa responded calmly. Their adaptability, their emotional connections, their creativity. These are qualities our engineered perfection has bred out of us. Weaknesses, Zyvex sneered. Qualities we evolved beyond for good reason. The tension between the two factions grew daily. Traditionalists wanted to take what useful technology they could from humans and then withdraw from further contact. Progressives, led by the Queen, advocated for deeper cultural exchange and possible integration of human social structures into their own civilization. One evening, during a ceremonial dinner celebrating the first successful technological collaboration, Elder Zyvex made his move. If these humans are so valuable to our future, he announced to the gathered crowd, then perhaps we should study them more. Thoroughly, he gestured, and several armed celestial guards entered the hall. I propose we begin a program of biological research using human subjects. Gasps came from both delegations. This was a clear violation of the treaty. Queen Laraxa rose to her full height, her skin flashing with angry reds and oranges. You overstep, Elder. This is not the way of the Celestial Dominion. The Council has voted while you were distracted with your human pets, Zyvex said smugly. We will learn what makes them special by taking them apart. Before the guards could move, Laraxa raised her arms. Energy crackled around her, and the room's lighting dimmed. I invoke the right of royal challenge, she declared. As queen, I may overrule the council once per cycle. The room fell silent. Even Zyvex seemed shocked. The right of royal challenge was ancient and rarely used. You would use our most sacred law for these creatures? He asked incredulously. I use it to prevent us from becoming the monsters you would make us, she replied firmly. The humans are under my protection. Any who harm them, answer to me. The ceremonial dinner ended abruptly after that. Alexis gathered her delegation and returned to the horizon to report what had happened. We should leave immediately, urged Security Chief Lauren. This political struggle isn't our fight, and we're in danger as long as we stay. If we leave now, we abandon Queen Laraxa to the traditionalists, Alexis argued. She's risked everything to protect us. Your duty is to Earth and this crew, Commander, Lauren reminded her. Alexis spent a restless night weighing her options. At dawn, a private message arrived from the Queen, requesting an urgent meeting in their neutral chamber. Laraxa was already there when Alexis arrived, her tall figure pacing the small space. Her skin swirled with colors Alexis had never seen before, patterns of green and silver that seemed to form and reform continuously. What's happening? Alexis asked. Are you all right? The Queen stopped pacing. Something unprecedented has occurred. I did not think it possible. Her voice trailed off. What is it? The energy exchange ritual we performed last month. It was supposed to be merely symbolic between different species. Laraxa's eyes, with their galaxy-like depths, fixed on Alexis. But something in your human biology resonated with mine in an unexpected way. Alexis felt suddenly nervous. What does that mean? My physicians detected it yesterday. A cellular change within me. A process that has not happened naturally among Celestials for 10,000 years. The Queen's voice mixed wonder and fear. Commander Alexis Reeves, against all scientific understanding, it appears you have triggered a reproductive process within me. Alexis stared in disbelief. That's not possible. Our species evolved on planets light years apart. Yet it has happened. The evidence is undeniable. Laraxa placed a hand on her midsection. Within me grows a new life, neither fully celestial nor human, but a blend of both. The implications hit Alexis like a physical blow, a hybrid child, a biological impossibility that would change everything. If the traditionalists discover this, she began, they would try to destroy it, and possibly both our peoples. Lyraxa finished. Elder Zyvex already suspects something has changed in me. My energy signature has altered in ways I cannot hide for long. They stood in silence, for a moment the weight of this discovery hanging between them. What do you want to do? Alexis finally asked. Lyraxa's skin settled into a determined blue. I wish to protect this child. It represents everything I believe our people need. A new beginning, unburdened by the stagnation of our engineered perfection. But I cannot do it alone. You won't have to, Alexis said, making her decision. Whatever happens next, we'll face it together. Queen Lyraxa stood before her mirror in her private chambers, studying her changing body. It had been 3 weeks since she had shared the news with Alexis. Already, her normally pearlescent skin had developed a soft glow centered around her midsection. The child grew much faster than either of them had expected. A chime sounded, announcing a visitor. Enter, she called, pulling her royal robes tighter around her body. Alexis stepped into the room, her face tight with worry. We have a problem. One of your medical staff leaked information about your condition. Lyraxa's skin flashed dark purple with alarm. How bad is it? Bad. The news is spreading through both ships. My crew is confused and asking questions I can't answer. And I've heard that Elder Zyvex has called an emergency meeting of the High Council. The Queen moved to her communication panel. We must act quickly then. I will address my people directly before Zyvex can twist this into something. Fearful? Are you sure that's wise? Maybe we should wait. There is no time for waiting, Alexis. Secrecy has failed us. Now we need truth. Within an hour, Lyraxa stood in the great hall of the Luminous Ascendancy. Screens displayed her image throughout the ship and transmitted to the horizon as well. Celestials and humans alike watched as their queen spoke. My people and our human friends, she began, her voice clear and strong. I come before you with news that may seem impossible. Through a unique interaction of our biologies during a traditional energy exchange ceremony, I carry within me a child that is part celestial, part human. Gasps and murmurs spread through both audiences. I know this challenges everything we believe about our species. For 10,000 years, we Celestials have reproduced only through careful genetic engineering. We thought natural reproduction was behind us, a primitive method we had evolved beyond. She paused, her skin glowing slightly brighter. We were wrong. On the screen showing the human crew's reaction, Alexis could see shock, disbelief, and in some faces, disgust. She stepped forward to stand beside Lyraxa, showing her support. This child represents not an accident, but an opportunity, the Queen continued. A natural bridge between our peoples. Proof that despite evolving on planets light years apart, we are more compatible than anyone could have imagined. Before she could finish her speech, the doors to the great hall burst open. Elder Zyvex marched in, followed by armed guards. His skin pulsed angry red. This abomination cannot be allowed to continue, he shouted. You have violated our most sacred laws of genetic purity. Lyraxa faced him calmly. There are no laws against natural reproduction, Elder, only traditions and assumptions. The council has voted again, Zyvex announced. You are temporarily relieved of your duties until this situation can be resolved. The human will be detained for study and the hybrid embryo removed for analysis. The guards moved forward, surrounding the Queen and Alexis. I do not recognize the council's authority in this matter, Lyraxa stated firmly. The child I carry breaks no laws and threatens no one. It threatens everything we are, Zyvex shouted. Guards, take them. What happened next would later be described by witnesses as a miracle. As the guards approached, Queen Lyraxa's body suddenly pulsed with blinding light. Everyone in the room, celestial and human alike, fell to their knees as a wave of energy washed over them. The light seemed centered on the Queen's abdomen, and for a brief moment everyone present could see through her skin to the tiny, glowing form within. The guards dropped their weapons, their skin shifting to colors of awe and reverence. Elder, Zyvex alone remained standing, though he had to shield his eyes. "What trickery is this?" he demanded. "No trick," Lyraxa said softly. "The child defends itself. Even unborn, it has power neither of our species could predict." For a tense moment, no one moved. Then alarms blared throughout the ship. "Incoming vessels," announced a voice over the communication system. "Multiple celestial warships approaching at high speed." Zyvex smiled coldly. "It seems the Grand Fleet has received my message. They come to ensure the purity of our species remains intact." Alexis grabbed Lyraxa's arm. "We need to leave now." The Queen nodded. "My personal shuttle can break through the blockade they'll attempt, but we must hurry." As they rushed from the Great Hall, Alexis contacted her ship. "Officer Walsh, prepare the horizon for immediate departure, and send Security Chief Lauren and a team to meet us at Docking Port 7. "Commander," came Kimberly's worried voice. "Earth Command has been notified of the situation. They're ordering us to return immediately and to bring no Celestials with us." Alexis's jaw tightened. "Tell them communications are breaking up. We'll respond when we can." They reached the shuttle bay to find Lauren and 3 security officers waiting, weapons ready. "Commander, what the hell is going on?" Lauren demanded. "Is it true? Did you somehow impregnate the alien queen?" "The explanation is complicated and we don't have time," Alexis replied. "Right now we need to get Queen Lyraxa to safety. Both our peoples have factions that want to harm her and the child." Lauren looked uncertain. "Our orders will get." "An innocent child killed," Alexis cut in. "I'm still your commanding officer, Chief. Are you with me or not?" After a moment of internal struggle, Lauren nodded. "Where are we going?" "First to the horizon," said Lyraxa. "Then to neutral space. I have allies among the outer colonies who will shelter us." They boarded the Queen's personal shuttle, a sleek vessel designed for speed. As they detached from the luminous ascendancy, they could see the approaching celestial warships, massive crystalline structures that dwarfed even the Queen's flagship. "Those ships outgun us 100 to 1, Lauren observed grimly. "But they will hesitate to fire upon their queen," Lyraxa said. "And my shuttle has certain advantages." She placed her hands on the control panel, and the shuttle's hull began to shimmer, its color and energy signature changing until it appeared to be nothing more than space debris. "Camouflage technology," the Queen explained. "It will not fool them for long, but it should get us to your ship." They docked with the horizon undetected. Once aboard, Alexis took command. "Set course for the Edge Nebula," she ordered. "Maximum speed." "The Edge Nebula?" Officer Madison questioned. "That's outside our jurisdiction, and the radiation there makes navigation nearly impossible." "Exactly why it's perfect," Alexis replied. "The nebula will mask our presence, and no fleet will risk following us in." As the horizon broke orbit and accelerated away from the luminous ascendancy, they received a transmission from Elder Zyvex. "Commander Reeves, return our queen immediately," his harsh voice demanded. "This act will be considered kidnapping and a declaration of war by your planet." "The queen is here by her own choice, Elder," Alexis responded, "and she remains the rightful ruler of the Celestial Dominion regardless of your coup attempt. She carries an abomination that threatens the genetic purity of our species." Lyraxa stepped into view of the transmission. "What I carry is the future, Zyvex, a child born of 2 worlds with strengths neither of us could create through engineering. You fear what you cannot control." "This is not over," Zyvex threatened before cutting the transmission. The horizon accelerated to its maximum speed, but the sensors showed the celestial warships in pursuit. "They're gaining on us," reported Officer Kimberly from the navigation station. "We can't outrun them." "We don't need to outrun them," Alexis said. "Just reach the nebula." As they approached the swirling gases and radiation of the Edge Nebula, Another alarm sounded. Earth vessels approaching from the opposite direction, announced Officer Diane. 3 military cruisers. Alexis felt a chill run down her spine. They've sent ships to intercept us. We're caught between 2 fleets. Queen Laraxa placed a hand on her glowing abdomen. Neither side will risk harm to their own people. That gives us an advantage. I hope you're right, Alexis said, because we're about to find out. The Edge Nebula spread before them like a vast, colorful cloud. Streaks of purple, blue, and green gas swirled around pockets of newborn stars. It was beautiful and deadly. The radiation levels would be harmful to both humans and Celestials with prolonged exposure. They're hailing us from both sides, Officer Diane reported from the communication station. Her voice was tense. Alexis stood in the center of the Horizon's bridge, Queen Laraxa beside her. The alien's glow had grown stronger, pulsing gently with each heartbeat of the child within her. Put them both on screen, Alexis ordered. Split view. The main view screen divided to show Elder Zyvex on one side and Admiral Grace Carter of Earthfleet on the other. Neither looked pleased. Commander Reeves, you are ordered to surrender the alien queen and return to Earth space immediately, Admiral Carter said, her face stern. You've violated direct orders and created an interspecies incident. Commander, Zyvex said from the other screen, his skin flashing angry red patterns. Return Queen Laraxa to our custody. The hybrid she carries must be studied and contained. It represents an unpredictable biological risk. Alexis glanced at Laraxa, then faced both screens. I refuse both demands. The Queen is here by choice, and the child she carries has harmed no one. We will remain in neutral space until both sides recognize their rights. That thing is not a child, Zyvex snarled. It is an unknown biological entity that could threaten both our species. And you, Commander, added Admiral Carter, maybe under alien influence. Medical studies suggest the Celestials produce pheromones that could affect human judgment. Alexis felt her patience slipping. With respect, Admiral, I'm in full control of my faculties. And Elder Zyvex, I understand your fear of the unknown, but it doesn't justify your actions. Fear? Zyvex laughed bitterly. I do not fear. I protect. Our species has thrived for 100,000 years by careful genetic management. This random mixing threatens everything. Your ships are now surrounded, Admiral Carter stated flatly. The Celestial Fleet blocks your path forward, and we block your retreat. You have nowhere to go except into the nebula, which would be suicide for all aboard. Laraxa stepped forward. Perhaps it is time they saw what they so fear. She opened her robe to reveal her abdomen, now glowing bright enough to illuminate the bridge. The skin had become almost transparent, showing the small form within, a perfect blend of human and celestial features, already recognizable despite its early development. Look upon your future, the Queen said, her voice carrying to both transmissions. Not a threat, but a gift. A child with the strengths of both our kinds. As if responding to its mother's voice, the unborn child moved. A pulse of energy radiated outward from Lyrax's body, washing over the bridge. The ship's systems flickered momentarily. What was that? Lauren asked, checking her security monitors. The child grows stronger daily, Lyraxa explained. Its energy already affects systems around it. On the screens, both Zyvex and Admiral Carter had seen the energy pulse register on their instruments. Their expressions showed a mix of awe and concern. You see, Zyvex said, it disrupts technology even before birth. Imagine the danger when she, Laraxa corrected firmly, is born. And yes, she will have powers neither of our species fully understands. Powers that could be used for creation rather than destruction, if given the chance. Admiral, Carter's expression had softened slightly. Commander Reeves, I understand your desire to protect life, but this situation has escalated beyond your authority. Earth Council is divided on how to proceed. Some see diplomatic opportunities, others see threats to human genetic uniqueness. And while you debate, Alexis replied, warships surround us, threatening a child who has committed no crime except to exist. A new alarm sounded on the bridge. Officer Kimberly looked up from her station, face pale. Multiple ships decloaking around us. Celestial design, but different. On the main, fewer strange vessels appeared. They resembled the crystal ships of the Celestial Fleet, but were smaller and more organic in design, with flowing lines instead of sharp angles. The free colonies, Lyraxa breathed, relief washing over her features. What are the free colonies? Alexis asked quietly. Celestials who left the Dominion centuries ago. They rejected our path of genetic engineering and chose natural evolution, even with its imperfections. A new face appeared on the view screen, a celestial male with skin that showed age patterns Alexis had never seen on the main fleet's perfect specimens. Queen Lyraxa, he said, bowing his head. I am Elder Talus of the Free Colonies. We received your encrypted distress signal. The sanctuary is prepared. Zyvex's image showed shock. Talus, you were exiled for heresy against our biological directives. Chose freedom over stagnation, Zyvex, the older celestial replied calmly. As have thousands of others over the centuries. Our colonies thrive within the nebula, adapted to its radiation through natural selection rather than engineering. Admiral Carter looked alarmed. There's been an unknown civilization living in the nebula all this time? We value our privacy, Talus said simply, but recent events compel us to reveal ourselves. The child Queen Lyraxa carries represents the very principle on which our colonies were founded, that life finds new paths when allowed to evolve naturally. The horizon rocked, suddenly as a beam of energy struck its shields. We're under attack, Lauren shouted. Celestial Destroyer has opened fire. On screen, Elder Zyvex looked smug. If we cannot have the Queen returned, then none shall have her or the abomination. The free colony ships moved into defensive positions around the horizon. Elder Talus's expression hardened. This act of aggression violates all celestial principles, Zyvex. You would destroy your own queen. I would preserve our future, the traditionalist replied. By any means necessary. Another blast hit the horizon, stronger this time. The shields flickered dangerously. Shields at 60%, Officer Madison reported. They're targeting our engines. Admiral Carter's image showed her issuing orders to someone off-screen. Commander Reeves, the Earth fleet will not participate in an attack on a research vessel with a mixed crew, but neither will we interfere in what appears to be a celestial civil matter. How noble of you, Admiral, Alexis replied bitterly, staying neutral while watching a massacre. Queen Lyraxa placed a hand on Alexis's arm. The free colonies will protect us, but we must reach the nebula. Their ships are adapted to its conditions. Our engines are damaged, Kimberly called out. We can't reach full speed. Another blast rocked the ship. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. Shields at 30%. One more direct hit and they're down. Lyraxa closed her eyes, placing both hands on her glowing abdomen. Then we must trust in the child. The glow around her intensified until everyone on the bridge had to shield their eyes. The unborn child seemed to respond to the danger, its tiny form clearly visible now through Lyraxa's transparent skin. It moved its arms as if reaching outward. A wave of energy, far stronger than before, erupted from the Queen's body. It passed through the ship without harming it, but extended outward in all directions. On the view screen, they could see the energy wave hit the attacking celestial ships. Their weapons immediately went dark. The Earth vessels further away were affected less severely, but their systems also showed disruption. What just happened? Alexis asked, looking at the sensor readings in disbelief. The child has neutralized their weapons, Lyraxa said, her voice filled with wonder and maternal pride. She protects us. Elder Talus smiled on the view screen. The children of the free colonies sometimes develop such gifts, but never so young or so powerful. This child is truly remarkable. Taking advantage of the disabled celestial fleet, the free colony ships moved in, surrounding the horizon protectively. We're being tractored, Kimberly announced. The free colony ships are guiding us into the nebula. As they entered the swirling gases, communications with both fleets began to break up. The last thing they saw was Elder Zyvex's face, contorted. with rage and Admiral Carter's more contemplative expression. "This isn't over." Zyvex's broken voice came through. "The Dominion will not—" His image dissolved into static. "Commander," Admiral Carter's voice came through clearer. "For what it's worth, I hope you know what you're doing." Then her image, too, disappeared. The horizon, guided by the Free Colony ships, moved deeper into the nebula. The radiation that should have been harmful seemed unable to penetrate the ship's hull, somehow blocked by the same energy field that had disabled the attacking fleet. "The child protects us even now," Laraxa said softly, the glow around her dimming as immediate danger passed. "She learns quickly." Alexis turned to her crew, seeing the mix of fear, wonder, and uncertainty on their faces. "I know this isn't what any of you signed up for. I've taken us far from home into the middle of an alien civil conflict. Anyone who wants to register an official protest has that right." Lauren stepped forward. "Commander, I think I speak for most of us when I say we're in uncharted territory here, but protecting an innocent life, whatever species it belongs to, seems like the right call." Officer Madison nodded. "Besides, we're making scientific history. The first human celestial hybrid. I wouldn't miss this for anything." 3 months passed in the hidden colony deep within the Edge Nebula. The Free Colonies had welcomed them with open arms, particularly fascinated by the rapidly developing hybrid child that Queen Laraxa carried. The Queen's pregnancy had progressed, far faster than either human or celestial normal gestation, another unique trait of this unprecedented life form. Alexis stood by the window in their shared living quarters, looking out at the strange beauty of the colony. Unlike the crystal perfection of the Celestial Dominion's architecture, the Free Colony structures were more organic, flowing with the natural formations of the asteroid they had hollowed out and transformed into a habitable world. "You seem troubled," Laraxa said, entering the room. Her entire body glowed now, brightest at her swollen abdomen where the child was clearly visible through her nearly transparent skin. The baby girl, for they had confirmed it was female, had features of both species, the opalescent skin and elongated limbs of a celestial, but with recognizable human facial features and 5-fingered hands. "I received a transmission from Earth," Alexis said, turning from the window. "Admiral Carter managed to get a message through the nebula's interference." "What news?" the Queen asked, carefully lowering herself onto a cushioned bench. "The situation has escalated. Elder Zyvex has convinced the Celestial High Council that the child represents an existential threat. They've shared their genetic engineering technology with Earth in exchange for military assistance." Laraxa's skin darkened with concern. "The High Council would never share our most sacred technology. Zyvex must have taken complete control. Earth is divided. Some factions support us, arguing for the child's rights as a new form of life. Others fear what they don't understand." Alexis sat beside Laraxa, gently placing a hand on her glowing abdomen. The child within responded immediately, turning toward the touch. "They're coming, Laraxa. Both fleets. They've developed shields against the energy disruption our daughter used before. How long do we have?" "A week, maybe less. They found a way to navigate the nebula safely." Elder Talus entered without knocking, his aged face solemn. "We've detected the approaching fleets as well. The Free Colonies have called a council meeting to discuss our options." The council chamber was carved from the living rock of the asteroid, illuminated by bioluminescent plants that gave the space a serene blue glow. Representatives from all 7 Free Colonies had gathered, along with the crew of the Horizon. Queen Laraxa sat in a place of honor, her radiant form casting extra light throughout the chamber. "We have 3 options," Elder Talus announced after, explaining the situation. "We can fight, though our ships are few and designed for exploration rather than war. We can attempt to flee deeper into uncharted space, or we can try one last time to negotiate." "Zyvex will not negotiate," Laraxa stated firmly. "He fears what he cannot control, and the child cannot be controlled. And Earth military has orders to bring us back for medical evaluation of the baby," Alexis added, "which really means they want to study her like a lab specimen." A ripple of distress moved through the gathered Celestials, their skin colors shifting to show their emotions. "Neither option is acceptable," said Elder Talus. "The child must be born free to choose her own path." "When exactly is she due?" asked Officer Madison, who had been helping monitor the unprecedented pregnancy. "Could she arrive before they do?" Lyraxa placed both hands on her glowing abdomen. "It is difficult to predict. The growth rate has been erratic, sometimes slow, sometimes accelerated, but I sense she is nearly ready." "Then perhaps that is our answer," said a voice from the back of the chamber. An elderly celestial female stepped forward, her skin showing age patterns even more pronounced than Elder Talus's. "I am Cybele, keeper of prophecies," the assembled Celestials murmured respectfully. Even Lyraxa inclined her head. "There is a prophecy," Cybele continued, "recorded before the great schism that separated our people. It speaks of a child of 2 stars born in fire, who will either doom our kind to extinction or lead us to a greater existence than we have known." "Convenient that this prophecy could be interpreted either way," Lauren commented skeptically. "All true prophecies contain divergent paths," Cybele replied, unoffended. "The future is never fixed, but the signs are unmistakable. This child is the one foretold." "So what does this prophecy suggest we do?" Alexis asked. "The prophecy says the child must be born between worlds in the moment of greatest peril. Only then will her true power be revealed." Elder Talus looked troubled. "You suggest we do not run or hide, but instead meet our pursuers directly? With Queen Lyraxa on the verge of giving birth? I suggest," Cybele said firmly, "that we trust in what has been foretold." The debate continued for hours, but in the end, they decided to follow Cybele's guidance. The free colonies would not abandon them, but would escort the horizon to the edge of the nebula to meet the approaching fleets. 5 days later, as both Earth and celestial ships appeared on their long-range scanners, Lyraxa's labor began. "The timing is either incredibly fortunate or incredibly bad," Officer Madison said as she helped prepare their makeshift medical bay. None of them knew exactly what to expect from this unprecedented birth. "The child chooses her moment," Lyraxa said between contractions. Her entire body pulsed with light now, brightest during each wave of pain. "She comes when the need is greatest." On the bridge, Alexis watched the approaching fleets with growing dread. The Earth vessels formed one flank, the much larger celestial ships the other. Both carried enough firepower to obliterate the horizon and its free colony escorts many times over. "They're hailing us," Diane reported from communications. "On screen," Alexis ordered. Elder Zyvex appeared, his face hardened with determination. "Commander Reeves, our patience has ended. Surrender Queen Lyraxa and the hybrid abomination immediately." "The child is not an abomination," Alexis replied calmly, "and she's about to be born." This news clearly startled Zyvex. "All the more reason to hand them over now. Our medical facilities will not be necessary." Alexis cut him off. "The birth proceeds perfectly well with the help of the Free Colony's healers." Admiral Carter's image replaced Zyvex's on the split screen. "Commander Reeves, I urge you to reconsider. This birth has serious scientific and diplomatic implications. It should happen under controlled conditions with proper observation." "The birth of my child is not a scientific experiment," came Lyraxa's voice as she entered the bridge, supported by 2 Free Colony healers. Her body glowed so brightly now that it was difficult to look directly at her. "It is a miracle, and it will happen here, among those who love and protect her." "Queen Lyraxa," Carter said, clearly surprised to see the heavily pregnant queen on her feet. "Surely you understand the importance." "I understand only that you and Zyvex both fear what you cannot control," Lyraxa interrupted. She winced as another contraction hit, her glow intensifying momentarily. "But some things are not meant to be controlled. They are meant to be witnessed." Elder Zyvex reappeared on screen. "Enough delay. You have 10 minutes to surrender, or we open fire." The transmission cut off. Alexis turned to Lyraxa with concern. "You shouldn't be here. You need to rest." "No." the queen said firmly. Sibella was right. The child must be born here, between worlds, in the moment of greatest peril. She looked around at the bridge crew. Will you stand with us as witnesses to a new beginning? One by one, they nodded. Even Lauren, who had been the most skeptical, stepped forward. We're with you, Your Majesty. As the minutes ticked by, Lyraxa's contractions grew stronger and closer together. The glow from her body became almost blinding during each wave of pain.
5 minutes until they open fire, Officer Kimberly reported tensely from her station. Shields at maximum, Lauren said. But they won't hold long against that kind of firepower.
Lyraxa suddenly cried out, doubling over. The child comes now. The Free Colony healers helped her to the floor as the crew cleared space. Alexis knelt beside her, holding her hand. 3 minutes, Kimberly called. We need to try once more to reason with them, Madison suggested desperately. No, Lyraxa gasped between contractions. Let them come. Let them see. 1 minute. The queen's body arched as the final stages of labor arrived. The glow from her abdomen was now so intense that it shone through the hull of the ship itself, visible to all the vessels surrounding them. They're charging weapons, Lauren reported grimly. All ships, both fleets. Wait, came Elder Talus's voice over the comm. Look, on the view screen, they could see their own ship from the perspective of one of the Free Colony vessels. The horizon was now surrounded by a sphere of pure light, brightest at its center where Lyraxa labored to bring her child into the universe. Weapons locked on us, Lauren continued. Wait, they've stopped. Their targeting systems are failing. Outside, the sphere of light expanded, washing over the attacking fleets. As it touched each ship, their weapon systems went dark. The bridge, Lyraxa gave one final push. With a sound like 1,000 crystal bells ringing at once, the child emerged into the world. The light that had surrounded the ship concentrated, flowing back to form around the newborn girl.